morning, Mark. How you doing?
James, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you. Now, I understand you're going to tackle the king here today.
Wow, I got to tell you, James, everything I'm seeing, like I was listening to David, is extremely disturbing to me relative to what happened in Tucson. When I opened up the program, we were live on Sunday night, and a lot of these reports were starting to come in prior to the show. As I was taking notes and preparing for the show, we kind of changed things up a little bit. Dr. John Lott, fresh off of an appearance on Fox and Friends with Megyn Kelly on Fox News, jumped on Armed American Radio within minutes of a phone call to him. So things were happening very quickly. But I actually have the show notes here in front of me that I used while I was preparing to do the program. And I think it's important, as I opened up the show, to open up here on American Trigger Sports, and that is to remind people that what happened in Tucson has absolutely nothing to do with your right to keep and bear arms and concealed carry laws in Arizona or anywhere else in America. And the lax gun laws that you hear about, the mainstream media talking about, are false. Arizona's requirements to purchase a handgun are federal law. They're the same in Arizona as they are in Peter King's home state of New York. And I want to remind people of that. But yes, Peter King, very disappointing to see him come out with proposed legislation to keep handguns away from public events from a congressman at, 1,000 feet from a public official at a public event, which would effectively, James, ban handguns again in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and besides that, it's really kind of a ridiculous law. As we said earlier, the bad guys aren't going to pay attention to it, number one. And number two, if you're going to hold an outside event in which you are inviting the public in, how would you possibly be able to control the crowd that may arrive within a 1,000-foot area and know that they do or do not have a gun? I mean, I've been to these. You have been to these.
Sure.
That's an impossible situation to try to control a gun in. Now, if you're talking about having these public meetings in a auditorium or in some, okay, fine. You can put up metal detectors and people are going to walk in and do all that. But that has nothing to do with passing a new law. Absolutely not.
Eric Cantor and John Boehner. John Boehner came out this afternoon and reportedly made a comment, very concise and clear comment: we're against Representative Peter King's gun control bill, number one. Eric Cantor, the House Majority Leader, made a comment also that his spokesman said that the proposal wouldn't have prevented this tragedy or other mentally unstable individuals or criminals from committing horrific acts. Now, talking to you and viewers around the world today from Georgia, where we just got rid of in HB 308, House Bill 308, signed by Governor Perdue in June of this year, we eliminated what was called a public gathering law restriction here in Georgia that forbid you, if you had a firearm permit, or in this case now a weapons permit in Georgia, from attending a public gathering with that firearm. It was impossible to determine. I've been to 1 million public gatherings. What is a public gathering? And 1,000 feet from a congressperson, this is nothing but self-serving grandstanding by Representative King, but it bears watching. It's very important, as does Representative Carolyn McCarthy's. Now, she wants to go after the Glock 1810 magazine, which of course holds 31 plus rounds, and we have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that these people will exploit every tragedy they can to come after your freedoms.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm going to go back to the NRA on this one, because they have been saying it for years, over and over again: enforce the laws we have on the books.
Absolutely. I asked a guest last week on the program, if I told you, James, I'll ask you, if you were convicted of, if you were a car thief, a career car thief, and I took your driver's license away from you, James, does that mean you can't steal cars anymore? I mean, we've got to be realistic here, and we've got to be playing with a full deck. What you're hearing from the left right now is predictable. It was as predictable as the day is long. I did 3 radio interviews, one of them national on the Janet Mefford Show, the day after Armed American Radio aired on Sunday, and I was asked the question to her, do I believe personally that we're going to see the advancement of any gun control bills as a result of this? And my calm answer to that is no, I don't think we will. I think cooler heads will prevail. If you look at what's happening, you're seeing these are the usual suspects, folks. Carolyn McCarthy, Maloney, Frank Lautenberg, Representative Peter King, Republican. It doesn't matter if you have an R by your name. The NRA gave him a D over the years. He's no friend of gun rights, but these are the usual suspects, James. Again, cooler heads will prevail, and the majority of Americans do, in fact, side with us as gun owners.
Right. No, you're absolutely right on that. And I do not want to go away from the fact, and I know you agree with me, that this was a tragic situation. And I think it's absolutely despicable for legislators to come in here and try to cash in on it. And that upsets me.
And it should. But I'll tell you what, we're going to be a breath of fresh air on Armed American Radio this weekend coming up, because we're going to stop talking about it. We're going to move on to what we do, and we're going to talk about the upcoming SHOT Show, what we're going to see on store shelves. We're going to talk about who we might be able to get on camera live from the SHOT Show here on American Trigger Sports a week from today. We're going to discuss new tips and tricks and techniques and training. Rob Pincus, of course, one of the greatest trainers in the country, will be back co-hosting with me again. We've got a great lineup coming up, Students for Concealed Carry on campus. So we're going to get off of this Tucson bandwagon, this horrible tragedy as it was, let the media do what they do, make fools of themselves, and we're going right back to defending your right to keep and bear arms as a free American citizen.
Hear, hear, Mark, hear, hear. Look forward to it. I hope that we're able to put something together there at the SHOT Show so that you can come on with, Rob's been on the show, actually. I haven't seen him now in several months, but would love to have both you and he on the show and tell us what's going on over there, because I'm not going to be able to go.
I'll give you a secret. I'll tell you who I'm working with. One of the upcoming guests, and happens to be a neighbor of mine and a friend of mine, is multi-platinum country recording artist Mark Wills. Mark will be attending dinner with me Wednesday night, and will be a live in-studio guest with me here in Atlanta for Armed American Radio coming up within the first couple weeks in February. And I'm trying to arrange to see if I can't get Mark. Mark is out there right now judging the Miss America pageant, and of course will be at SHOT Show for the remainder of the week. So we're going to see if we can't put something together with maybe Mark Wills and Rob Pincus and myself on Wednesday, and show you what all the fun stuff we've got in the world of freedom and firearms.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck with that beauty pageant thing. Gee, what a tough job that must be.
Listen, I asked him, how do you get a gig like that? And he wouldn't give me the secret, so I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Mark. We'll see you next week from the SHOT Show.
Live from the Convention Center at the Sands. Thanks, James. See you later, everybody.